Okay, we're making a flower vase with a frog lid, which is basically a lid to arrange your flowers in a decorative way. So center like normal. This is about 3 to 3.5 pounds of clay. You're going to open the cylinder very slow with your hands. Your wheel can be going at a faster pace. As long as you go slow with your hands, you'll have that control you need. And then you're going to open the inside to what you want your outside to be in the end. So if you open wide, it'll be wide. If you open narrow, then you have the option of narrow. In order to get taller cylinder forms, you want to keep your inside hand a little more passive than your outside hand. And periodically you're going to come through with very wet hands and collar or squeeze in from the bottom up, and that moves everything back towards the center of the wheel, and it will help you get taller things. And then once you get your tall cylinder, keeping in mind as you're throwing this that you're going to be putting a flange in the lid, so keep that a little bit thicker than you normally would. You're going to clean everything up with a rib. Take your wooden knife tool and cut away any excess at the bottom, and then we'll talk about putting a flange in. One other quick thing I want to mention about hands that can't touch each other when you're throwing tall things, because that's how you stay stable, is keeping your hands connected. What I do is I lock my interior hand, I lock that elbow into my ribs if possible, and then I lean towards my outside hand. So for me, I'm leaning to the right, and then I can lean forward a little bit and get my interior hand down inside, and try to keep my elbow as close to my ribs as possible for stability. Okay, we're going to talk about the flange. So I've got this rim squared off. You can make flanges with a couple different things. Here you see me using a wooden knife tool, and I'm taking the tool to the center of the rim and just pushing down with that edge there. You can also use your finger. So I've got one hand stabilizing my right index finger, which is pushing down again on the starting at the center into the interior of the pot. You can also take a chamois, which is a little trickier because they tend to want to slip right out of your hands, but I'm taking my left thumb and index, and I wrap that index finger underneath the rim and push down with my thumb, and then on the outside I'm just holding everything kind of still. This one takes a little bit of practice, and it really just saves you from having to chamois everything in the end. There's nothing wrong with using the wooden knife tool or your finger and then hitting the rim with your chamois later just to soften everything up. The one thing that I would say is set your flange low so that that frog is going to be nice and stable when you put it on your pot. And then after you undercut your piece, what we're going to do is take our calipers and measure this flange on the interior of the widest point. Alright, I'm centering about 2.5 pounds here, and I'm going to take the top half of this and make one lid and make another with the bottom half. I'm looking and checking to see that it's smaller than the measurement. It's not, so I'm pushing it in to make it so. And then I'm going to make a little bowl. So we're going to open a little bowl and pull it out. And remember that when you're making lids when you're throwing a bowl, if you open very deep, it'll be like an egg on top. If you open very shallow, it will be smaller, or less tall rather. So this is upside down. So I'm going to throw a tall one and I'm going to throw a shallow one, and then I'll decide which I like better in the end. Once your measurement matches, so your rim is the same measurement as your calipers, you're going to clean everything up with a rib, and then I'm going to make a little shelf on the outside of this lid so that I can pick it up off. And I'll change the camera angle so you can see that. One thing I'm doing here is making sure that the rim of this lid is tapered so that it doesn't like look like it's shrugging its shoulders in the vase form, meaning that if it's very square, it's gonna look kind of clunky and it will not sit quite right on your flange. So taper that rim, make it a little bit softer and less square, and that will help you in the end. And if I'm not making you dizzy with the change of the camera angle here, I'm gonna show you, you're just gonna push in with your index finger. This is so that you can get your fingers underneath and pop that lid off without damaging it. I am taking my wooden knife tool and making a little area to cut with my cut wire, and then you want to stop your wheel for control, pull that wire through, dry your hands off, and pick that cup up off of the bat there. You can center your next piece and throw another lid.